With breaking news happening now, this is a Wave News Alert.
And we're staying on top of this breaking news this morning. A large number of police at 40th and Kentucky Streets in the Chickasaw neighborhood. We're waiting to get an update from LMPD's chief. This is still a very active situation, but reports an LMPD officer has been shot. Wave News reporters Josh Ninke and Kathleen Ninke joining us from that scene with the latest.
Hey, Shannon. Yeah, so let me give you kind of the nuts and bolts of what's happening here. So there's a very heavy police presence behind us. All started around 2:30 this morning. At this point, we're still waiting for more details, but the governor is mentioning that in a tweet just a little while ago that there's an officer shot here. We're still trying to figure out what exactly is happening, but we know that there is a bomb squad vehicle out here, and there's also a hostage negotiation vehicle out here that's been here for at least the last hour, hour and a half.
The last hour and a half, I've been at a media staging area that was set up several blocks away, and I'll say as I was trying to make my way here to where Josh has been set up, several blocks of the Chickasaw neighborhood are entirely shut down. This large police presence spreads for maybe half a square mile or so. Really a large police presence. Again, at this point, we don't have many details on what is happening at this scene. That's where Olivia Russell is. She's at U of L Hospital waiting on that update from Chief Gwen Villarreal. We are expected to get those updates from her specifically and eventually is all we know at this point.
I've spoken to a couple of neighbors here around in the area, and they essentially don't really know anything either. When they woke up around 2:30, 3 a.m. this morning to this heavy police presence, and all of a sudden all these media and cameras right outside in their front yard. So still, they are also in the dark about what's going on here.
Certainly they are. Governor Andy Beshear seems to have a bit of information saying he has heard reports that there's an officer shot here in Louisville. You see that tweet right there on your screen. He posted the same thing on his Facebook page. And let me say the response already early this morning has been huge. Here pre 6 a.m. on the dot, we have 379 people who have reacted to this and dozens who say they are praying for the officer shot and that person's family. We don't know who that officer might be. We don't know what condition they might be in at this point, and we do not have independently confirmed that there was an officer shot, but certainly the governor's social media posts make it seem as though there has been.
And hopefully we're going to be getting some information very soon. Going to send things over to Olivia Russell, who's over at U of L Hospital with potentially some more information. Olivia?
Well, sorry about that. We'll get back to Olivia as soon as we can, but we're hearing that LMPD chief will be giving an update at 6:15 this morning. We will bring that to you live right here on air. You can also stay with the Wave News app or go to wave3.com to get the latest. And right now, here is Tawana as you're planning your Thursday.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on a front that is making its way out of our region, but quite a few clouds still behind it. All of this is going to move into our region as we get into later on today. So what we're seeing right now, the first batch of clouds trying to exit our area. We have been seeing a couple of stray showers, some areas of drizzle here and there with the front itself, but you can see where that chance for a little bit more of those spotty showers, a bit more likely, is where we have that extra moisture overhead. So everywhere that's in that muggy category, that yellow, so from Nelson County down towards Adair County, you have a bit more moisture, enough for a stray shower or some drizzle. But behind the front, we are seeing that drier, less humid air gradually taking over our region. And for those of you further to the north, you're already seeing the impacts of that drier air. You're sitting in the low 60s right now, but where it's a little bit more humid, mid to upper 60s at the current moment. So over the next 12 hours, here's what we're going to be looking at for the bus stop forecast. For that ride in, sitting in the 60s with some clouds overhead. More clouds move in towards lunch. And for that ride home, we could see a stray shower or two and even some areas of drizzle yet again with those highs in the upper 70s and low 80s. So parents, just a heads up, your kids may need the rain gear in their backpack just in case they get hit by one of these isolated showers. But overall, the rain chance is just that isolated for the afternoon. Heading into tomorrow, some more clouds overhead at times. Highs in the 70s, a bit more sunshine as we get into portions of your Saturday with highs in near 80 degrees then. And we'll keep things actually on the cooler side over the next 10 days. I'll explain why in just a bit.
Thanks, Tawana. This is a big day for sports fans in Kentucky. Today is the day that you can make a bet on professional sports or college sports. Today, Churchill Downs will reveal its newly renovated sports betting venue as Kentucky joins surrounding states in legalizing sports betting. In just hours from now at 10 a.m., Governor Beshear is expected to place that first bet, marking a new era for sports in the Commonwealth. We saw yesterday how Churchill Downs has transformed its Aristides Lounge. That's where the post-positions draws usually take place for the Kentucky Oaks and the Derby. The new lounge has 15 sports betting kiosks, 7 horse betting kiosks, and 6 betting windows with tellers. And around the lounge, there are QR codes that take you to a website where you can view live odds and build your bet. There are several other locations, too, all across the state that will open to in-person betting for opportunities to try your luck. Admission is free right now at Churchill Downs until live racing starts September 14th.
It's really going to be a tremendous benefit for the state's economy. We're looking forward to help facilitate it. You know, we're already regulated here at the racetracks. We've been doing that for here for 150 years coming up. So it's another, aspect that I think everybody is so excited about within this community.
On September 28th, online sports betting will begin, but you can pre-register on these 7 licensed apps like FanDuel, Penn Sports Interactive, and Fanatics right now. That started at 6 a.m. You can deposit money into the pre-registered accounts too, and the apps will start accepting bets at 6 a.m. on the 28th. Some of the money generated by sports betting will be used to help people addicted to gambling. Sports wagering is expected to pump $23 million a year into Kentucky's revenue stream. That will cover the administrative costs of sports wagering oversight and then put money into the state's permanent pension fund. 2.5% will be set aside for the Kentucky Problem Gambling Assistance account. Those with the Kentucky Council on Problem Gambling predict 2.5% will end up being about $500,000 during the first year. They say the money likely won't trickle down into the Problem Gambling Assistance account, though, until 2024 because of staffing. According to the council's research, as many as 64,000 Kentuckians are addicted to gambling, and as many as 165,000 show problem gambling traits. There is help available. You can call 1-800-GAMBLER or go to kygambling.help.org. Now, getting into the game did not come cheap. Trax paid a $500,000 fee for that license, and renewals $50,000. App service providers bought in at $50,000 each and a $10,000 renewal fee. An off-duty LMPD officer was taken to the hospital after a crash near Mount Washington. It happened just before 9 last night on Highway 44 near Bald Eagle Parkway. LMPD says the officer was in his marked cruiser turning into a residential area when a car hit him. The officer was taken to Uville Hospital for treatment. LMPD says the injuries are minor. The driver of the car that hit the officer was not seriously hurt. Mount Washington police are investigating. A man is dead after a Louisville shooting just a mile away from where a 15-year-old was shot and killed the day before. Some neighbors say they're fed up with the violence. The man was found shot dead inside of a house in the Park Duval neighborhood. Police found the victim at the house on Beach Street just after 3 yesterday afternoon. The victim's name has not been released yet, but police are asking the community to come forward to help solve the crime.
Any information that helps us bring closure to families, bring closure to communities, helps us get answers and lock people up or bring people in, question them, talk to them, and get the information we need to solve these cases and bring closure to them.
The Beach Street shooting was just a 3-minute drive away from where a 15-year-old was killed Tuesday morning. Police say the teen boy was shot several times on West Galbert Avenue. His name has not been released, and police have not made any arrests. Some neighbors say more needs to be done to keep children away from violence in Louisville.
That's a prime example right there. He's 15 years old. Probably another 15-year-old killed him, you know what I'm saying? So that's 2 gone. Once they catch him, he going to prison. So 1 in the ground, 1 gone to prison. But like I said, I don't know what the solution is for these kids today, but something's got to give.
If you know anything about either of these shootings, you're asked to call LMPD's anonymous tip line or use their online portal. A man's in jail this morning after police say he hit a crossing guard with a car in southwest Louisville. Delane Rowe was charged with assault, leaving the scene of an accident, and disregarding traffic control. Police say he hit the crossing guard on Cane Run Road and Bridwell Drive, close to Wellington Elementary School. Rowe was later arrested after being pulled over on I-64. The crossing guard was taken to UofL Hospital and is expected to survive. Rowe is due in court on Monday. It is now 6:08, and here's Tawana talking about the next 12 hours.
And over the next 12, we're going to be watching more clouds moving back in as we head into the second half of the morning and then the afternoon. Highs today mainly in the 70s to near 80 degrees with that chance for a few isolated showers and some areas of drizzle as we get into the afternoon. Looking at the roads right now, a couple of stalled vehicles out there, so keep that in mind, but that is not blocking the flow of traffic. But of course, we're still keeping an eye on what's happening near 40th and Garland. And according to Kathleen Ninke, a lot of the roadways around here is blocked off, so just keep that in mind as you're trying to head out to work, to school this morning. You're going to probably need to find an alternate route if you usually travel in the area of Garland and Cecil Avenue.
This is Wave News Sunrise.
And good morning. If you're just waking up at 6:12, we're following breaking news this morning. We are awaiting an update from LMPD Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villarreal. The governor tweeted out early this morning that an LMPD officer has been shot. We don't know how that officer is doing right now, but let's take you live to that scene. It's in the Chickasaw neighborhood. That is where Josh Ninke and Kathleen Ninke are live with the latest details.
Here for the last couple of hours, keeping an eye on what's been going on in this scene here behind us. We were originally much closer to the action, but they moved us back to where we're at right now because of our safety. We've seen several vehicles, lots of police coming out here. All started around 2:30 this morning. Again, we are still waiting for a lot of information, but based on the governor's tweet and Facebook post, we do know an officer has been shot out here. We do not know anything at all about their condition, but this police presence has been very heavy. Several different blocks here blocked off as we continue to wait for more information.
And what we're looking forward to at this point is the update from the chief herself, as you mentioned, Shannon, at 6:15 a.m. over at UofL Hospital. Of course, we believe this update to be coming from UofL Hospital because that is likely where an officer would have been sent from this neighborhood. We know from the governor's tweet that he is hearing reports of an officer shot, but again, we have no idea right now who that officer might be or what that officer's condition might be. As I made my way over here just about half an hour ago, driving in this neighborhood was tough because so many of these blocks are blocked off. This is an absolutely huge scene. Even in the video you're seeing right now, you're only seeing a portion of it. You're seeing this scene from one angle when really it spans blocks and blocks here in this Chickasaw neighborhood. So if you happen to commute through this way, go ahead and stay away from this particular part around 40th and Kentucky, 40th and Garland. That's really the few areas to avoid this morning.
Yeah, obviously a big scene here. We're still, like I said, waiting for more information. Hopefully here in just a matter of moments, we'll be learning more about what's going on. So I think we'll wrap things up here and send things back to y'all. So live here in the Chickasaw neighborhood, Josh Ninke.
And Kathleen Ninke, back to you.
All right, thank you so much. We're staying on top of this. We're monitoring for that press conference, but right now here's Tawana.
Yeah, keeping an eye on the weather right now and the cold front that's continuing to track off towards the east as those clouds are doing their best to clear across our region right now. We did see a couple of stray showers and one or two heavier downpours earlier this morning, but at least for right now, the radar is quiet. We're looking towards downtown Louisville at the moment where we're seeing not much going on. Traffic is rolling smoothly on our interstates. Now we're starting to see some drier air moving in along and north of the parkways, and because of that, you're cooler, low 60s. Everyone else, where things a little bit more muggy from Bardstown south, we're seeing mid to upper 60s for your current temperature. So that's why we're seeing some discrepancies in morning lows across the area. We're going to be watching for a few clouds overhead for the early morning, but once we get into the afternoon, that is when those clouds really start to take over a little bit more. Highs into the upper 70s and the low 80s with those clouds overhead. We'll see a few stray showers here and there across our region. So we'll watch those clouds increasing later on this morning and keep them around through the afternoon before they break apart for this evening, and we'll see that isolated rain chance really dropping off. With those clouds clearing, we'll do our best to cool down, mainly talking about 60s for our lows. As we look ahead to to the next 10 days for tomorrow. Going to keep some of these clouds overhead yet again after a sunny start because of this area of low pressure rotating off towards our east. And because of it, it will throw some extra clouds back into our region and keep more of a northerly flow. So that will help to keep our temperatures on the cooler side, mainly talking 70s and low 80s as we head into the weekend. But the big question mark is, will it throw enough moisture for us to see a few showers? For right now, we're going to put that as a no and keep those rain chances low. But notice we haven't completely taken them out of the forecast because we cannot rule out a stray shower here and there. As we get into Monday, this is when we'll see more of that sunshine, warmer temperatures trying to arrive in the forecast. And by Tuesday, it's all about that rain coming back our way with yet another front moving towards us. We'll watch this exiting the area come Wednesday. But one big question mark in the forecast for the end of next week is where and when will this front try to stall? Because it looks like it will certainly do so as we have Hurricane Lee pushing up the coast of the Atlantic coast of the United States, and it will have an impact on this front itself. So this is something that we'll have to watch towards the end of next week because it certainly will impact our rain chances, the clouds overhead, and our temperatures across the area. So yeah, this is just a reminder that we do have to keep an eye on the tropics. And by the way, the Hurricane Lee is expected to become a major hurricane by early tomorrow. So we'll have to watch the impacts it could have for us later on next week. But at least for right now, the end of next week, we're going to keep some sunshine around with highs mainly in the 70s.
All right, thanks, Tawana. JCPS now needs another bus driver because a driver won the lottery and decided to retire. James Cowan drove buses in the district for 11 years, so he bought a Powerball ticket for the drawing that happened August 19th from a Circle K in J-Town, and then he realized, oh my goodness, that ticket is worth $100,000. He matched all 4 white numbers, not the Powerball though. After taxes, he's walking away with just over $70,000. So he told his boss he's retiring. He and his wife plan to use that money to get some lake property and also help local kitten and cat rescue shelters. Congrats to them. It is 6:18 and we're following breaking news. Still waiting to get an update from LMPD's chief on this ongoing situation. This morning in the Chickasaw neighborhood, reports of an LMPD officer who was shot. The chief will be giving us an update from U of L Hospital, and we'll be live with the latest. This is a live look right now at U of L Hospital. We're waiting for an update from LMPD Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villarreal on an ongoing situation in the Chickasaw neighborhood. It started at about 2:30 this morning at 40th and Kentucky Street. So if you live in that area, there's a large police presence still right now. We know the bomb squad vehicle was brought in and a hostage negotiation vehicle as well. Governor Andy Beshear tweeted out early this morning this: Kentucky, we're hearing reports that an officer was shot this morning in Louisville. Please join Brittany and me in praying for this officer, their loved ones, and all of LMPD. We don't know how that officer is doing right now. We are awaiting that update, but certainly prayers from everyone for that officer, especially after what happened to Officer Nicholas Wilt in that mass shooting at Old National Bank in April after he was shot in the head but survived. We're going to bring you the very latest on all of this morning. It is now 6:23, and here is Tawana.
Over the next 10 days, we have a lot to look at. Most of it will be some cooler air showing up, so we'll keep an eye on that. So over the next 10 days, we're mainly talking about those 70s for highs, a sprinkling of 80s here and there, but we don't look to warm very far into the 80s at any point in time over the next 10 days. For today, highs near 80, clouds overhead, chance for a couple of sprinkles this afternoon. And you'll see that same forecast around for most of us for your Friday. A couple of sprinkles here and there, those clouds overhead at times, highs in the 70s. Now we'll try to warm up over the upcoming weekend, keeping some clouds around low to mid 80s come Monday. Then another front shows up Tuesday into Wednesday, bringing some more of those showers back into the forecast, and then keeping our highs basically in the 70s to end next week.
Thanks, Tawana. Narcan is now available without a prescription in pharmacies. The nasal spray will be for sale online or in stores at places like Walgreens, Rite Aid, Walmart, CVS. The retail price is about $45, and it's 2 doses in the box. It comes after the FDA approved the change in March to allow the drug to be on shelves without a prescription. It can reverse an overdose. So kids have been back to school for a few weeks now, and you know what comes with that? sick kids. Those illnesses are spreading rapidly, sending a lot of children to the doctor, and many parents are trying to figure out what's going around right now. Norton pediatrician Dr. Heather Felton says they're seeing a little bit of everything. Kids coming in with the flu, COVID, strep, RSV, and pink eye.
Sometimes these illnesses can then progress and cause other complications like ear infections, for example. And so if you have somebody who's been doing okay, but then all of a sudden is presenting with new fever or worsening symptoms, it's another time to check back in with your doctor.
Parents say parents should remind their kids, wash those hands often, and if you are home sick, just take care of yourself and touch base with your doctor. Humana and Baptist Health are running out of time to settle a contract dispute before it causes some patients to find a new doctor in their network. Our partners at the News and Tribune report a service agreement between the two is set to expire September 22nd. If a new agreement is not met, Medicare Advantage members and commercial group members would lose coverage at some Baptist Health facilities. Baptist says this will not affect care at hospitals, but will impact which physicians are covered. If an agreement is not reached, Humana says it will work with patients to find a new provider. It is 6:26, and we're expecting an update from LMPD's chief on this ongoing situation right now in the Chickasaw neighborhood. She's expected to speak at U of L Hospital, where we're assuming an LMPD officer was brought after being shot. We're going to have the very latest coming up this morning.
With breaking news happening now, this is a Wave News Alert.
And good morning. We've been staying on top of this breaking news out of the Chickasaw neighborhood this morning. It's at 40th and Kentucky Streets, where there is a large police presence and reports of an LMPD officer who was shot. Let's go to Josh Ninke and Kathleen Ninke, who are live on the scene right now. And they actually moved you guys away from that house for your safety.
Yeah, Shannon, we had a crew that was out here very shortly after this all started at around 2:30 this morning. Initially, much closer than we are right now, getting a better view of what was going on. But yeah, those police officers asked us to go back about a block or so to where we're standing right now. So you can see we've still got a lot of police presence here. We've seen hardly anybody leave. More officers coming than going at this point. Hostage negotiator on scene, bomb squad on scene. And at this point, all that we've been able to find out is from the governor saying that there's an officer who was shot here. And that's kind of where we're standing right now.
Right, and we're waiting for that update from LMPD Chief Jackie Gwen Beeler-Rowell. Olivia Russell is there with any potential updates from the chief, though I don't believe we've received them just yet. What I'll say is here on the scene, we've chatted with a few witnesses because this is a large area, several blocks of the Chickasaw neighborhood. So a lot of people saw this happen. And we spoke with a woman who says she lives right next door to the house in question. And she says what she saw were several officers pointing what looked to be large rifle-style guns at the scene, and so that is what one witness is telling us this morning. Certainly, it's been an incredibly active scene, and that witness telling me just a few moments ago that she saw those officers with guns pointed at the home right next to hers there in that area of 40th and West Kentucky.
And like Kathleen said, we're still waiting for more information from the police chief. Olivia is at U of L Hospital checking in, waiting for that moment. We're going to send things over to you, Olivia.
Hey, Josh and Kathleen. Yeah, we were told around 6:15, but obviously this is a really fluid situation right now, just kind of on standby, waiting to hear from Chief Jacqueline Gwen Beeler-Rowell. Now, we're set up at U of L Hospital right now, and after hearing reports of an LMPD officer shot, this is typically where they would bring them, so we can assume that the chief is checking on her officer right now, and we really don't have any other information other than that. I see an LMPD cruiser pulling up right here, but about 40 minutes ago, I actually saw a good pile of officers come out of the hospital and actually leave. Not sure exactly why they were leaving. Still a few left behind here. And of course, the chief also here as we're just waiting for an update. We expected that about 15 minutes ago, but obviously an important situation that she has to handle right now. So we're just patiently waiting outside of the hospital, hoping for any kind of information we can get. And as soon as that happens, we'll be taking that press conference live on air here. So stick with us throughout Sunrise, and we'll bring that to you as soon as we have an update, and you can hear it directly from the chief. Live at U of L Hospital, Olivia Russell, Wave News.
All right, Olivia, thank you for that update. So we are staying on top of this breaking news this morning. You can stay with us right here, on air, online, and also on the free Wave News app for the latest. And now at 6:32 on this Thursday, Tawana's taking you through your day.
Yes, for today, we are starting off with a cold front in the area. It's exiting. This is the same front that was responsible for some of the rain that we saw yesterday, and a lot of clouds exiting our region. So that is going to lead to a gorgeous and sunny start to the day for so many of us. Behind this front, we're already starting to see some lower humidity. Most of the area now in that humid or pleasant category, indicating the drier air is still making its way further into wave country, but we still have just a touch of that humid air sitting from Nelson County south toward Adair County. So in those spots, we can see a few more rounds of those stray showers. But overall for today, in terms of your what to wear forecast, it'll be a t-shirt, pants, short situation. We are warm and muggy, mainly sitting in the 70s right now. But later on today, we're going to rise to near 80 degrees for our highs, and we are going to see those clouds clearing as we get into the evening hours, so just in time for sunset. So you'll need the sunglasses and potentially that umbrella as we watch for a couple of stray showers trying to show up in the forecast as we head into the afternoon and the evening hours. I'll let you know how it could affect U of L's first home game for tonight in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Tawana. Senator Mitch McConnell brushing off concerns about his age and health as some lawmakers are calling for the Senate Minority Leader to step down. Tuesday, congressional doctor Brian Monahan dismissed any theories about possible seizures or strokes being the cause for a couple of recent freezing episodes for the senator. McConnell is now reassuring the public, despite the optics of what happened, he has still been getting things done back home in Kentucky.
Now, one particular moment of my time back home has received its fair share of attention in the press over the past week. But I assure you, August was a busy and productive month for me and my staff back in the Commonwealth.
The senator also called for Congress to keep the government funded to avoid a shutdown and highlighted his support to pass an aid package for Florida and Maui. He also said he won't be stepping down. Lawyers will make their final case to jurors today before they decide the fate of a man accused of causing a crash that killed a U of L cheerleader. Bradley Caraway is charged with murder, DUI, and leaving the scene of an accident. Closing arguments are set for today. When jurors begin their deliberations, they will have to decide, was Caraway driving the car when it crashed in 2016, or was it Shanae Moorman who died? Yesterday, the jury looked at photos taken of the wrecked car at rest. Reconstruction expert Henry Cease said he thinks Caraway got out of the car before Moorman was ejected. He also explained why he thinks the passenger window was the only way to get out of the vehicle.
The windshield has been, we use the word ripped, teared, but it falls back into the passenger compartment. So it's my opinion that no one goes out the front windshield. Because they go to the right, both of them are going to move to the right.
The defense argues it was Moorman who was behind the wheel. If convicted, Caraway faces at least 20 years in prison. Prosecutors are recommending 20 years in prison for a man who used a machete to kill one of his neighbors and hurt two others. A jury convicted Elvis Anderson of murder and assault charges yesterday. Prosecutors say he used a machete to kill Devon Banks outside a home on Garland Avenue in the California neighborhood. It's 6:36. We want to go right now to U of L Hospital, where LMPD Chief Jacqueline Gwen Villarreal is speaking.
While conducting the traffic stop, shots were fired from a nearby home. The officer was struck in the torso area. The supporting officer on scene discharged his weapon, and the supporting officer was not injured. Our hostage negotiation team, SWAT team, and other support personnel are currently on the actual scene itself of the house where the shots were fired at the officer. Our officer is in critical but stable condition. We are thankful that he has survived his injuries, and for the medical staff of University of Louisville Hospital. The officer has been with LMPD for a year and a half, and we are praying for his speedy recovery. LMPD officers will continue to do our job and protect the public despite what happened this morning. To my officers, I'm proud of you. You are strong and resilient. I'm expecting for us to continue to keep this community safe as we're doing it the right way. There is body camera footage, and we will follow our protocol and make the footage public in 10 business days. We encourage the public to call us with any information that you may have, utilizing our tip line at 574-LMPD. We're also thankful that no other innocent bystanders were injured through this senseless act of violence. As for the active scene where the subject shot at my officer, I am confident through a thorough investigation that we will have somebody in custody and charged for this incident. Your next update will come from my public affairs office. Thank you.
All right, that's LMPD Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villarreal not taking any questions about what transpired, but if you are just joining us right now, at 6:38 this morning, we are hearing that an LMPD officer is in critical but stable condition after being shot at. It happened this morning at 40th and Kentucky Streets in the Chickasaw neighborhood. She said officers were conducting a traffic stop when someone in a house there fired at officers, hitting one of the officers in the torso. The supporting officer fired back, but we do not know if the person in that house was hit. She said hostage and SWAT are still at the scene right now. They're telling people to stay away from that scene. But she said that that LMPD officer who was hit has only been with the police department for just a year and a half. She said that they are praying for that officer's recovery. She also said, "We are proud of you." Speaking to her other officers, "You are proud and resilient." Now, body cam footage will be made available in 10 days. No other people in that area were hit as you take a live look right now at that scene. But if you live in this area and you're just waking up, likely you're going to have a tough time getting out of that neighborhood because a lot of the streets there are blocked off as they continue to try to find this person who fired at officers from one of the houses in this neighborhood. This is still an active scene, but she said she is confident that they will have someone in custody. So again, thinking about that LMPD officer who was shot in the torso, critical but stable right now. It is 6:40, and here's Tawana with a look at your Thursday forecast.
Over the next 12 hours, we'll be talking about some extra clouds moving in, highs in the upper 70s to the low 80s, and we'll watch for a stray shower or two as we head into the afternoon and the evening hours with those extra clouds overhead. Now, of course, we're keeping an eye on the roads, and our main thoroughfares are just fine, not seeing any issues there. But of course, we're keeping an eye on that active scene at 40th and Kentucky this morning, as so many LMPD officers are on that scene. So in terms of trying to get around it, for those of you trying to get through that area, the detours will be Cecil Avenue, Broadway, Greenwood, and 38th. Those will be your best ways to get around that scene for this morning.
Good morning. At 6:43, we're staying on top of that breaking news, but we do have some sports news to talk about. U of L taking the field tonight, hoping to continue their strong start of this season. They are facing Murray State. This is going to be a big game. It is the first home game for Jeff Brom as head coach for his alma mater. So that game tonight is a designated blackout game. If you are going, you're encouraged to wear your black to show support for the Cards. That game, the kickoff, is at 7:30 tonight. So if you are not heading to the game, you can just watch Wave News. We'll have all of the updates for you. Also, big news for soccer fans. Racing Louisville moving on to the Challenge Cup Finals for the first time. They took on OL Reign last night in Seattle in the semifinals, beating them 1-0 thanks to that goal from Kirsten Davis in the 28th minute. Racing Louisville will now play North Carolina Courage on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. for the trophy. So congrats to them. Very exciting.
Yeah, big deal for the team that's only been around for a couple of years for them to make it that far this run.
Yeah,
I'm
good for them.
very proud of them.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of people heading to that U of L game for tonight. So in just 30 seconds, I'll have the forecast for that, plus talk about the weekend forecast, which is looking overall pretty good in just a bit.
With Hardin County Honda, one of the things that I can definitely vouch for is that we're here to serve them. And not just serve them, but do it honorably and respectably.
We're family owned and operated. We have been for 44 years. As soon as they greet you with a smiling face, they take care of you. We're their go-to for service, collision center, sales, anything that they need for their cars. I want them, when they walk out, to know that they had the best service ever.
Good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Tawana Andrew here with a check of your forecast. And I did promise you the U of L football forecast for this evening. For those of you heading to L&N Stadium for this evening as U of L takes on Murray State for that first home game of the season, we'll be seeing those temperatures going from the mid to upper 70s down into the 60s as the game goes along. We'll keep an eye on those clouds starting to break apart and even that potential for a stray shower or two. But overall, things are looking dry for today's matchup. Now, we're going to be keeping an eye on this cold front sweeping to the east, and a lot of those clouds trying to push back into our area behind it. But at least for right now, we are seeing clearing skies and comfortable conditions across the region as we're kicking off the day. Looking towards downtown Louisville, of course, it's still pretty quiet, but it's early in the morning. We'll watch to see how things evolve as the day goes along. Of course, going to be seeing a lot more of us heading out into the next hour to 2 hours. Temperatures sitting in the 60s across the entire region as we're kicking off your Thursday. Watching for those extra clouds moving back in later on this morning into the afternoon. And with those clouds for this afternoon comes the potential for a couple of stray showers across the area, but mainly a few areas of drizzle. And with that, we'll see those temperatures climbing into the upper 70s and the low 80s. Low 80s more likely in those spots to see a bit more of that sunshine for today. The clouds clear as we get into tonight, temperatures falling down into the 60s across our region. By tomorrow morning, as we look ahead to the next 10 days, we're going to be talking about those 70s for highs tomorrow with some clouds still overhead at times. So we start off your Friday with some sunshine. The clouds roll back in as we get towards midday, all because of this area of low pressure off towards our east. We'll have to keep an eye on this closely as we head into the weekend because it could keep a few more of those clouds and even a small rain chance in the forecast for the weekend. But overall, things are looking mainly dry. We'll just have to watch to see how far east we can get this front for the weekend because it could affect our temperatures, especially if we keep more of those clouds overhead like we're expecting on Friday. A lot of us will be stuck in the 70s as we get into the upcoming weekend. And that's going to be an important forecast as well because we're not only watching the U of L game for tonight, but of course the UK game as well. On Saturday, temperature is going to be warming through the 70s for that with those clouds overhead. So keep that in mind if you're heading to that game. As we get further into the weekend and then next week, we'll try to warm up towards Monday, some mid-80s possible then. And here we go again, yet another front moving towards us as we get into your Tuesday and Wednesday, bringing more of that much-needed rain into our forecast. One thing that we will be watching, though, this hurricane, which will be a major hurricane, Hurricane Lee, as it pushes towards the Atlantic coast of the United States. It will impact where and when this front stalls out, and that could impact our temperatures and our rain chances towards the end of next week. Right now, things are trending dry with those highs mainly in the 70s.
Good morning. It is 6:51, and we've been following this breaking news situation where there is still an active scene going on in the Chickasaw neighborhood, and we have learned just a short time ago that an LMPD officer who was shot in the torso is in critical but stable condition. Wave News reporter Olivia Russell is outside U of L Hospital where the chief just gave an update. Olivia.
Yeah, Shannon, the chief just walked out of the hospital after checking in on her officer. She said he is in critical condition right now, but stable after the shooting. We're told this happened around 2:30 this morning in the Chickasaw neighborhood. Officers were conducting a traffic stop when shots were fired from a home nearby. Those officers were able to get away, and that other officer was taken here to U of L Hospital. We're still waiting to learn more about what led up to this incident here, but we're told that SWAT and hostage negotiators are still there at the scene. We're also told that there is body camera footage of this incident, and per new LMPD policy, that body camera footage will be released within 10 business days. We also know that LMPD has taken over the lead role of investigating. Again, these policies and procedures were just recently put in place, and we'll keep you updated as we learn more about this situation. But the chief says she is confident that someone will be in custody and they will face charges. Live at UL Hospital, Olivia Russell, Wave News.
Now we're here at the scene. Kathleen Inke and myself, Josh Inke, we've been out here for the last several hours. And like Olivia mentioned, this all started as a traffic stop just about a block in that direction. That's when the officers were fired at by somebody in one of these homes, returned fire. But at this point, that's kind of all we know about this very active scene here behind us.
Right. So we know that someone shot at the officers. That's what LMPD said happened. And that one officer was hit in the torso. That's the officer who's at U of L Hospital. The partner of that officer, his partner, then shot back in the direction. What we don't know right now is if any of those rounds hit the suspect. LMPD Chief Gwen Bilow-Roel says no innocent bystanders were shot, but she did not say whether they believe the suspect was shot. If they do believe the suspect was shot or not, she does seem confident that that suspect is still alive, because as Olivia mentioned, she says they are confident that a suspect will be in custody and a suspect will be charged. They are warning everyone who lives in this area, and we're talking a 6-7 block radius. She's warning everyone to stay inside and to not come out and be walking around in the streets, and certainly asking no folks to be driving around.
Yeah, so here's a little bit of what Chief Gwen Bilow-Roel had to say about what's going on here this morning.
As for the active scene where the subject shot at my officer, I am confident through a thorough investigation that we will have somebody in custody and charged for this incident.
So as you can see, we've got hostage negotiators are also here this morning right now trying to get this situation resolved. Like we said, still a very, very active scene here this morning, expanding over several blocks.
We'll look forward to seeing that body camera footage within those 10 days that LMPD has given themselves to release it. What we've seen and heard from witnesses is that it's been very active for several hours, and they have seen
We'll keep an eye on everything happening on that situation this morning, as we're having some technical difficulties there. In terms of your weather this morning, we're seeing the clouds clearing out, so a sunny start to the day. We'll watch those extra clouds moving back into our region later on today. You'll certainly need the umbrella later on this afternoon, potentially, as we could see a few stray showers in some areas of drizzled. Don't want to get that hair wet, but of course we'll be watching for the clouds and some sunshine getting through those clouds at times. You'll need the sunglasses as well for today. Now, what we're going to be looking at as we head over the next 10 days, more clouds and cooler temperatures overall. For your highs, we'll be seeing highs into the 70s as we head into tomorrow with those clouds still overhead. And we'll watch for more significant rain chances showing up as we head into next week, as we have yet another front moving through, and potentially we could see some impacts indirectly from the tropics towards the end of next week as well. So a lot to watch over the next 10 days, but have the Wave Weather app handy. That is where we'll update you first on what's going on.
And that could be a very intense hurricane.
Yeah, potentially a major hurricane by tomorrow morning.
All right, we'll be watching that, bringing you the very latest, and stay with Wave News throughout the day for the very latest on how this officer is doing, just on the force for a year and a half, and shot in critical but stable condition, and still a very active scene right now in the Chickasaw neighborhood. This is at 40th and Kentucky Street. We'll have the very latest for you right here on Wave News throughout the day, and you can also get the free Wave News app for alerts, or go to wave3.com. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.